This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for September 18th, 8 p.m. Here's the HurTrack program animation of Hurricane Igor as it's going to pass right over Bermuda tomorrow afternoon and going into the evening hours, and then it'll quickly get pushed off to the northeast by a trough of low pressure and out into the open Atlantic. So let's take a closer look at some of these images and see exactly what's going to happen here. First of all, here is the projected landfall, which is tomorrow afternoon going into the evening, and you can see that this the core of the hurricane, the worst conditions, the center of the eye of the hurricane will be right near the island of Bermuda at 11 p.m. tomorrow night with 85 knot winds, and this system will be cruising off the north. Now this could be a little bit weaker than that, or it could be a little bit stronger than that. We'll talk about the intensity forecast and what's causing the system to be weak. But you notice the large hurricane force wind field out here extending out over 100 miles. In fact, a buoy down here recently reported winds gusting to 80 miles an hour about 90 miles east of the center of circulation. So the hurricane force winds extend out quite a bit. All right, here is the history of all the systems that have been in the same exact position. And we see that there's only one storm that's been in this position, and that is the tropical storm back in 1915. Was in the same exact position at the same exact time of the year between September 17th and the 19th. This was an unnamed storm back in 1950, and this was a weakening tropical storm heading off to the northeast and did not hit Bermuda. Now if we go to our next image, this is Hurricane Fabian from back in 2003, the track that Fabian took compared to where Igor is right now, and they're almost exactly in the same position. Fabian back in 2003 was a Category 3 hurricane, Category 4 hurricane down here, but then it weakened as it came near the island of Bermuda, but they still had winds around 120 miles an hour, belted especially the western areas of Bermuda, and a lot of roof damage up there and a lot of damage from Hurricane Fabian back in 2003. And this hurricane could take the same exact track as Fabian, although it looks like it's going to be weaker, which is good news coming out of this. You don't want a major hurricane affecting your area. Now here's the best performing model. This is the Canadian model, the CMC, and this has it just to the west of the island of Bermuda by just a few miles. This is the best performing model, off by about 138 miles, going out 120 hours, which is 5 days. So it's got a pretty good track record in the 5-day forecast of all the models combined. This is using about 30 or 40 models. And this is the best performer. The CMC has it very close to Bermuda here. Now, what is the best performing model as far as intensity is concerned? Let's take a look. This is the graphic from tropicalatlantic.com. And going out 24 hours, it would be the GFDN model, which is showing intensity of around 90 miles an hour as it approaches Bermuda. And this has been off by about 17 knots over a 5-day period. So it's been the best performer. Again, there it is, 79 knots at approach on Bermuda, which is would be around 90 miles an hour. That's a Category 1 hurricane, so let's hope that that happens. But it looks like this is going to take a direct hit on the island. Right, here is the wind shear analysis from the University of Wisconsin, and this is important to note here that the reason this system may be weakening right now is you have a little bit of southwesterly and westerly wind shear that's approaching the system. Now, part of this is the outflow from Hurricane Igor itself, but notice the high pressure ridge is off to the east of the center of circulation, so the circulation is like the upper level winds are like this, and kind of displacing the high pressure ridge from Hurricane Igor itself, and that's causing a little bit of wind shear. Now if you think that that's not the case, let me show you what happened 24 hours ago. Here's the map from 24 hours ago. Notice the difference. We have high pressure directly over the top of Igor ventilating the system and allowing it to build up into the atmosphere in a completely circular motion directly over the top of this. But that's not the case. As we go back and look, there it is. The high pressure is off to the right, so it's not centered underneath the high pressure, which is ideal circumstances for strengthening. That may be the reason why Igor has weakened, also gone through some eye wall replacement cycles. I could do a whole tropical update video on that. But that is when the inner eye wall collapses and a new eye wall forms in the outer it's called a moat, and then you have a new eye wall forming. And the problem with that is it widens the eye, and then the winds weaken around the eye wall while it organizes itself. But this has been going on for about 24 to 36 hours, reorganization constantly, and the system really hasn't had much intensification. So that, in combination with the high pressure ridge off to the east, it tells me that this isn't going to strengthen very much, if at all, as it approaches Bermuda. All right, here's the floater on Igor, and you can see that it was a little bit weaker. Now there's a new pulse of energy that just popped up on the northern eye wall, but the system is not as well organized as it was 24 hours ago. It's not even close to where it was. Pressure is up significantly. The hurricane hunters were out there earlier, and of course here is Bermuda up in here, right there, and this is going to come very close to Bermuda. It'll be interesting to see if this intensifies at all, but if not, it looks like this might be a Category 1, borderline Category 2 as it passes directly over the island. Now let's take a look at a water vapor loop of the Atlantic Basin, and let's see where our scoop is. I talked about in yesterday's tropical update video, and here it is right here, and the energy is still coming off the east coast, and there is some shear up in here about 30-40 knots, and that's why it's going to weaken pretty quickly once it gets by Bermuda. But this is also the scoop that's supposed to take it to the northeast, and it's just about right about here. So it's a very close intersection of winds here that's going to start to turn it off to the northeast, but it does look like this is going to be an absolute direct hit on Bermuda. With that said, our plans for broadcasting will start tomorrow night. Now, you can turn to hurricanecity.tv right now, and we have radars and satellite imagery and radio from the affected areas. But tomorrow night, as this hurricane approaches, considering it will still be a hurricane and make a direct hit on Bermuda, we will be live doing the hurricane warning show during the hours of the highest wind impact on the island, and this will be recorded for our archive subscribers. But we have a few observers on the island. We'd like to hear from you. If you live on Bermuda, email me, jim@hurricanecity.com, especially you Skype users out there. We'd like to hear from you during the storm. There's several storm chasers on the island I've been in touch with, and apparently they're having trouble getting rental cars, driving around on scooters, and you know, it's just not a good situation for chasing on the island of Bermuda. It's difficult logistically even getting set up on a remote island like that and continuing communications. Plus, the cell phone charges are ridiculous out there on the island. So we're going to do the best we can to get in touch with some of these guys on the island as it's happening and provide live video and cams and whatever we can pull up on the screen for you, for the archive subscribers, as this happens tomorrow night. Now, one more thing before I end the video here, I want to talk about this area near Texas over here. People are buzzing about that on the internet. That's a trough of low pressure that is moving inland. There's a very low chance of development with that, and that is not Hurricane Carl. Hurricane Carl zipped off to the west and moved into Veracruz. We're still gathering information on the damage out there. And we have a new Invest 94L out in the East Atlantic. A long time to watch that. The models take it northwest and then bend it back to the west. And that'll be something we'll have to watch down the road, but more than likely this time of the year they would be more likely to curve out into the open Atlantic. GFS and a few other models indicate something might develop in the Caribbean and head northwest. Long time to watch that. All eyes are on Igor. We'll be back with another update tomorrow, and then the hurricane warning show will be on tomorrow night. And again, we'd love to hear from you if you're in Bermuda. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.